Hi you guys, this is Jess with Sourceful Journey. I'm back with another video. So today I want to talk about the notion of taking risk, like letting go and really just letting God, letting God be God and just knowing that um, He has control of this ship, okay? I had a quick little story time I want to tie in because I've always been that one that had a strong faith and still have a strong faith when it comes to God and knowing God is always going to be in control. But there's always that human side where you're just like, you want to still have your hands involved with it in some way or another to make things move faster or try to direct things like I just did there in a way that you feel you see fit. Not knowing that maybe the way that God has it mapped out in advance already may be way better than what you could ever imagine. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and talk about a few scenarios that I've noticed in the past year where I learned to let go and let God and where it turned out for the better, in my opinion. Okay, so quick story time. I was actually out of work for about a year due to health related reasons. It was more so health in terms of, I guess you could say, with regards to obesity. Just be very plain and simple. But it was at one point I was one that, for someone who's my age, being in my mid 30s, I was one who unfortunately had to take on a lot of medications because of my weight at the time. So far, since really taking my health seriously, I've lost close to 100 pounds within a 13-month time frame, to be exact. Yeah, it was a 13 to 14. I think 14-month time frame. And part of it, which I could do in a separate video, is talk about what I did, which is really about changing one's eating habits, things of that nature, and just really making a huge lifestyle change. So I'm completely vegetarian now. And doing so was the best decision, 111 as I said that I could have ever made. Changing the eating habits in terms of meats, again, being vegetarian, don't touch it, but I still love my cheese, still have a little starch here and there. I'm guilty of that. I'm still a work in progress with that, but the weight is still falling off. So I'm so thankful and grateful for that. Not only that, but medications. At one point, I was taking about 5 or 6 different types of medications just because of my weight alone. So whenever I tell people my success story about that, they are really in shock. And they think it's an amazing motivation for them if they need to consider weight loss. 155, as I said that they may want to take on the same path. So I try to motivate people even in that regard too when it comes to the weight loss journey. Just to kind of go a bit step further here. So me taking a year out due to those health related reasons was a critical piece. So when it's time for me to get back into focusing on getting back into the workforce, this is where things really get interesting. Now, the reason why I say that is because, I started doing a hunt, in terms of finding work that was aligned with my current skill set. So I went into looking into, I'm trying to get a good focus here so you guys can see me. So I went into looking into, applying for different roles. I remember the first job I applied to, it wasn't really my cup of tea per se, but I was like, I need to get something, get some type of income going again. Now, what was funny, because I ended up getting called back, I got an interview. The interview, interestingly enough, was 2/22/2022 at 2 p.m. I could not believe it. I'm like, okay, so it was February 2nd of 2022 at 2 p.m. I was like, okay, either God's trying to tell me something like this is going to be the job and I really need to, give it my all in terms of this interview, or maybe he's just, poking at me, making fun of me because I was paying close attention to the numbers a lot, which I have been, because doing so personally has been such a great roadmap in terms of my journey, which will delve more into that as time progresses onward. Okay, so anyhow, I go through the interview process and I'm like, okay, well, we'll see what happens next. That evening, they called me back and I got the job. They wasted no time in giving me the good word on that, which I was very, very ecstatic about. 144, as I said that. So taking a step further, I ended up working this job. It served its purpose, but I knew that this was not going to be my long-term goal, okay? I knew I wanted something better. Now, mind you, during this entire time, there was this one particular place that I wanted to work at, and I always dreamed about it because of what it's all connected to. And so I remember I used to have conversations with a few of my my old friends, if you will. It was not really friends, let me reword that. It was more like, I guess you could say, because I didn't really like build a bond with them, like we didn't go out or anything. It was just more like if I saw them, we would chit chat for a bit and that was it. So I guess they wouldn't be friends. I guess more of, I don't know what the term would be, but they were just kind of like, people had conversations with, like if I see them like, hey, I remember you type thing. It was more like that. But these were people that I was pretty okay with. So this one lady, she actually was one I spoke to, like whenever I was here, like on the weekends, like, oh, hey, you know, if I had a choice or a chance to work at this one particular location, I would go bananas. I would just, you know, talk about this place. And, you know, she was like, oh, I used to work like in the building right across the way from it. And, you know, it's really sought out. Blah, blah, blah. It was just so much. So to make long story short, not realizing what I was doing, I was actually putting out into the universe, and that's going to allow me to fast forward to my next step here in details. So I ended up transitioning out of that job, but I ended up landing into, you know, applying for the particular establishment I told you guys about, right? So I went through the interview process. There was like maybe 4 to 6 people in the interview process, and it was just me against them. And so I went through it. I thought I aced it, and it turns out I didn't get the position. I was heartbroken. I was like, I didn't understand why, especially with my credentials. I'm like, how could I have not gotten it? It was a bit of the ego, but it wasn't like in a negative way. It was more so like, what could have went wrong? What did I do? Did I say something wrong? That type of thing. So I gave up on it at one point, and then I went and applied for another position that was a much higher paying role than the one I was currently in at the time. Got that position, and then I transitioned over. Now, mind you, the position, the pay was phenomenal, but yet I knew this was not where I planned to be for the long haul. And mind you, I jumped into this role like maybe a few months after getting the other role, which, you know, the one I told you I just had the interview for February 22nd of 22. So I knew I wasn't planning on being, I wasn't planning on staying in both of those roles for too long. I knew it was just like only for a short time frame. So I suck it out. Granted, it paid amazing for what I was looking for, but I knew that I wanted more. So 144, as I said that, what happened, the position for that company that I didn't get the initial role for, they had another one of those positions available for a second time. What did I decide to do? I said, well, what do I have to lose? Let me just apply again and see what happens. So I did just that. What happened? I went through the interview process, but now they wanted me to come in person. Now, what was another interesting piece there also is that the very establishment that I wanted to work for, that I just applied for again, I actually now lived closer to the location, like not far at all. Compared to where I was much earlier in the year, I was a bit of a ways further away at the time. So I, applied for it and figured, give it a shot. And this time they wanted me to come in person. I'm like, oh, no problem, because I'm actually like right in the area. So I went in person, had an interview with several people, including the head of the division and also HR. It was a pretty intense day. And I didn't realize what result was going to come from it. And it's kind of funny because two of the individuals that I had the interview with that day, they remember me from the previous interview where they didn't give me the role. And I was like, yeah, I said I ended up applying, and then no one really followed up with me in reference to why I didn't get the role. And so one of the individuals was like, he was giving me great compliments about my resume, my background, which was very humbling. It meant a lot to hear that. But he said that it was because there was an individual who once worked for the company who decided to come back. And then, of course, in that case, that's what's going to, in most instances, trump a situation where they then decided to go with that person because that person had original knowledge and knowing of how everything works within the establishment. So of course they're gonna, side with that one versus someone who's coming on 155, as I said that, someone's coming on for the first time. I totally understood that thought process, which is why I couldn't say anything against it, and I respected it. But this time around, let's just say I had gotten a surprise of a lifetime all in one day. So I had an interview with the head. I went into this conference room the very same day, had an interview with the HR person alongside the head of the division of the establishment that I'm now working for. I didn't see that coming, but I always come in prepared. I was like, internally I'm thinking, bring it on, bring it on. And so when I went in there, I gave my best foot. I came in with my best foot forward, gave them the best answer that I could, think possible. 33, as I said that, in terms of their questions. And I walked out not knowing that the person who was over the HR division was going to be walking right out with me. So as we're walking towards the elevators, this individual tells me, congratulations. I'm looking like, excuse me? And she was like, congratulations. It's a she. And she said, we're going to move forward with you and give you the position. I couldn't believe my ears. And I was telling her, I'm trying not to cry right now. And she just laughed. I said, you don't understand. I actually, 111 as I said this, I said, you don't understand. I literally am in total shock because this very establishment, I wanted to, 123 as I'm saying this. So funny how these numbers are hitting me now. I literally wanted to apply for this company like well over a year ago. And at the time I said it, it was like a dream. It was something I thought that could never happen. But I knew it was something that I felt passionate about. And I told her the little backstory. 144 as I said this, I just wrote it off as a dream and didn't think anything of it. And I applied once, didn't get the offer, and something told me to try it again. And here I am getting it, given a chance again, and you guys are actually going to give it to me. And she just gave me the breakdown of why they've decided to move forward with it. I know when I left out of there, I was on cloud 9, 212 as I said that. And yeah, just riding home, I just had to silently let out the tears. But it was tears of joy, 222, as I said that. But yeah, I just still couldn't believe it. And I still can't believe that the actual establishment that I envisioned being the area that I wanted to, or the establishment that I want to work for, is now my reality. Now, also in terms of the pay, way beyond what I ever expected. Even with someone like myself, with the type of background I have and with the number of degrees I have behind my name, which I have several, actually, not just one. I'm not talking two, definitely not talking three. I do have several. And that took a lot of hard work and dedication, but it could be done, and it was well worth it. But even with that being the case, it's like they took all that into consideration. They went to talk to the powers that be, who gave them the green light to give me the salary rate that I wanted. So I say all that to say, just because something seems so far-fetched, 333 as I said that, don't write it off, because you never know. that very thing that you're hoping and wishing for or think that could never become your reality just might be the blessing knocking at your door the next time you turn around. Now, there is a funny part in all of this. So the previous two roles, especially the first one that I had went through the interview process for on 2/22/2022 at 2 p.m. That one in particular, I remember, my gosh, just looking at the different videos that were online. Like I was looking at a lot of the YouTube videos. I always look for signs, synchronicities, the numbers, and the videos too. And I'll never forget. I remember I would always look at the videos just like looking for some type of sign outside of what I see in my day to day. And I remember I kept seeing these videos line up where it was saying like basically whatever that risk is, do it. That was kind of like the running message in the videos. And I'm laughing to myself internally, of course, not where other people can hear me. I'm like, are you telling me? I'm talking to God internally, like, God, are you telling me to quit my job? Now, this is with the first job I went into in February of 22. I'm like, are you telling me to quit my job? And I'm saying this internally, okay? And all I could think of, I kept hearing this voice or something saying like, yes, this is the big risk that you need to do it. Now I'm thinking to myself, like, if I do this, I don't have anything to fall back on. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? You have bills that still need to be paid, things like that. So I said, okay. So I ended up quitting. And I remember that one morning, because I was heading to work, but I decided to pass my route. I was on the train and I just went straight into, deeper into the downtown area of my location. And I remember I was sitting there eating the breakfast sandwich, drinking coffee. Then all of a sudden I got an email. It was like an article about something about, I'm paraphrasing, but it said something along the lines like I quit my job was the running line of the email. And it was in big letters, I quit my job. And I'm like, that's not a coincidence. There's no such thing as a coincidence for something like that to pop up on the very day that I decided internally that I quit my job, for that to pop up that morning. For people to still even think that there are such things as coincidence, well, coincidences is just mind-boggling to me. It's too evident that there is no such thing as a coincidence. So I say all that to say, taking that leap of faith and knowing that God is God and God is the one that has control of it all, and to put your faith in Him and, just be carefree and enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. It can take you far. Looking back on all of this now and where I am now in terms of my current role, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm glad I took that leap, as crazy as it may have seemed then. But thinking back at it, it's like, I kind of laugh about it because it's kind of like rolling down a hill, right? Like, let's say you're rolling down a rocky hill and you hit this wire gate. You bump into it, you're like, ouch, that really hurts. But then, you could hear maybe some angel or something in the background saying, but are you okay? It's just like, but are you still breathing? So it's kind of like that analogy, like, we complain about the bumps and bruises we get, but we forget to realize the very important thing is that we're still alive, we're still breathing, we're still moving. So, I don't know. I don't know why I thought about that analogy, but whenever I think about the journey I had when it came to getting to where I am now, I think about that whole thing of me like rolling down a rocky, hill into like a wired gate and me saying ouch at the end of it. But then maybe one of my angels saying, but Jessica, you're still breathing. You're still okay. So, yeah, I say all that to say, don't lose faith. Definitely remain focused and learn to trust God and to truly trust God with heart. And that is that for today's video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. You guys are amazing with content. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love to know that the content is reaching the appropriate people, if not more. And I'm sure it will be because I'm already seeing some motion there. It's good that you guys know and you're catching on like, oh, if I need to get in instant contact with her, I can go message her over here. Yep, you can, and I'll get it. It's a beautiful thing when seeing the type of responses that I get from people, especially in terms of where they are, their own journey, and just hearing how other stories could motivate them to keep going, I think that speaks volumes. Because I too was at that point, and we are all on our own individual journeys, and just to know that we can kind of feed off of one another, hearing what one has went through and what they're currently going through, and how they're continuing to push forward. I think that says something, and it's a beautiful thing. So yeah, with all that being said, definitely send you guys love and light, and as always, I will see you in the next video. All right, bye.